They claim it's real. The ECOWAS has threatened Ibrahim Traore with death if he doesn't resign. That sounds terrifying. But is it true? The answer is complicated, and you deserve the real story. ECOWAS has indeed suspended Burkina Faso, imposed sanctions, and demanded Traore return the country to civilian rule. They created a July 29, 2025 exit deadline and warned of economic consequences: trade bans, frozen accounts, travel restrictions if he refuses. But nowhere has ECOWAS openly threatened to kill him. That narrative is fear packaged as fact. What ECOWAS describes as a warning is a call for democratic restoration, supported by sanctions and diplomacy, not bullets and death. That nuance is buried under sensational headlines. Now let's dig deeper into why this matters. Burkina Faso today is facing twin enemies: jihadist insurgencies that control much of the territory, and a military government struggling to balance sovereignty with survival. Weekly bomb blasts, displaced villages, hungry families. Every headline paints a country in crisis. ECOWAS says return to civilian rule is essential. Step down or be killed. No, step down or be blockaded into economic collapse, isolation, and a standalone fight against powerful jihadist groups. That's risk enough. If you're watching this, pause and think, would you prefer the truth or the noise? Comment truth over fear to let others know there's a better story here. Traore rejects ECOWAS warnings as neo-colonial meddling. He's formally withdrawn from the bloc, allied with Mali and Niger under the alliance of Sahel states, and sought Russian and even Moroccan partnerships. Economically and politically, Burkina Faso is pivoting east. Militarily, it's defiant. But with every move away from ECOWAS, the risk grows: isolated trade, fewer international partners, fewer lenders, greater danger. ECOWAS remains firm. They want him back in the community under civilian leadership. They haven't ruled out stronger measures, but every expert I've reviewed says they have not authorized militarized removal or assassination. This isn't Jack Bauer, this is policy. This is leverage. Pause again. We're weeks from military forces being deployed. No, but we are weeks from economic collapse if Traore keeps refusing. This is where facts beat fear. Comment facts matter if you want to rise above the noise. The real questions we must face are these. Can Traore protect his people from jihadi violence while living under sanctions? Can ECOWAS hold the economic line without sparking a humanitarian crisis? And what happens if sanctions provoke a foreign military presence instead of peace? This is not just about rumors. It's about regional stability. It's about human lives. It's about whether African nations can govern themselves or be forced by outside powers, whether with money or guns. By exposing the truth here, you're joining a community committed to clarity over chaos. Share this video with truth over fear, because the world needs Africa's real story. Now, let's look closely at how sanctions work. It's easy to dismiss them as political theater, but the truth is harsher and slower. When a regional bloc like ECOWAS freezes trade, restricts banking, suspends travel, and threatens asset seizures, the effects ripple through everyday life. It's not bullets, it's a slow chokehold. Imagine a simple bread seller in Ouagadougou. His flour shipments from Ghana stop overnight. The price of flour doubles in days. He raises prices, but customers vanish. He hands in his apron and joins the unemployment line. Multiply this across thousands of small businesses, big markets, entire supply chains. That's what sanctions look like beyond headlines. Farmers struggle to export cotton, sheol, sesame. Schools can't import textbooks. Electricity bills go unpaid. Clinics can't buy vaccines. Suddenly people start to ask, was it worth standing alone? Meanwhile, Traore meets with Russian and Moroccan envoys. He signs military aid deals. He soldiers on. But each handshake isolates him more from diplomatic normalcy. ECOWAS warns that refusal to rejoin would make the region ungovernable. That word isn't casual, it's calculated. It signals deliberate breakdown to make a point. If this keeps escalating, scholar journals suggest humanitarian collapse could follow. Let villages choose between jihadists or starvation. When people collapse, order collapses with them. That's the threat that matters, not rumors of execution. There's a geopolitical chessboard unfolding. ECOWAS has options: intensify sanctions, tighten borders, limit travel, cut diplomatic ties, or escalate to build pressure. But there's no mention of authorizing violence. Their method is isolation, not invasion. They want him back in the democratic fold, not buried under threats. Meanwhile, the real battle unfolds across dusty roads and military checkpoints. Jihadist attacks continue. Civilians flee. The military fights in the north and east. Each victory comes at a cost. Each retreat a tragedy. And citizens watch carefully. Do they trust their soldier leader, or fear he's become the architect of their isolation? These are the stakes, because rumors of assassination distract from deeper dangers. People arguing over will they, or won't they kill him, missed the point. The real threat is national collapse from within. Right now, Burkina is standing alone, not because of bullets but because of blocked trade, silenced diplomacy, stalled aid, and a growing humanitarian crisis. That is the danger we must focus on. You're watching this channel because you want clarity, truth over discord. You don't want to be tricked by viral headlines. You want depth, context, judgment. If that matters to you, say it now. Clarity matters, because we're still at minute 12 of 40. What comes next matters. Decisions will shape the future. ECOWAS could ease pressure if dialogue begins. Traoré could soften rhetoric and offer election timelines. Civil society groups in Ouagadougou have proposals, but pressure is mounting and consensus is thin. In the next segment, we'll examine how regional states like Mali and Niger are influencing the outcome, how religious leaders are stepping in, and whether Africa's unity can hold a country from falling. To understand the full weight of what's happening, we have to examine the players outside Burkina Faso's borders. First, there's Mali, led by Assimi Goïta, another military leader who also came to power through a coup. Like Traoré, he defied ECOWAS, dismissed French military presence, and aligned more closely with Russia's Wagner paramilitary group. And then there's Niger, under Abdourahmane Tiani, who followed a similar path, rejecting Western-backed governance structures in favor of military control and self-declared sovereignty. Together, these three countries formed the Alliance of Sahel States, a breakaway bloc from ECOWAS. In theory, this alliance is built on solidarity, self-defense, and anti-imperialist goals. In practice, it's a political survival pact to shield against regional pressure. They claim they are building a new path for Africa, a model where African solutions serve African problems, without Western oversight or regional interference. But the cost: full economic sanctions, diplomatic isolation, and the growing narrative that they're dragging their people into the dark. Now here's the twist. While the world debates whether ECOWAS will invade or whether France will strike back, no one is asking what happens if nothing changes. What if ECOWAS does nothing? What if sanctions remain? What if no elections come? What happens then? The answer: a slow burn. Burkina Faso might not collapse in a day, but month after month, the economy shrinks, public trust erodes, humanitarian aid dries up, refugees grow, and discontent simmers just below the surface. No gunshot needed, no sniper on the roof, just abandonment. And abandonment has a body count, too. Let's rewind to 2021, before the coup. Burkina Faso was already dealing with thousands of internally displaced persons. Jihadist groups had turned the north into a no-go zone. But at least back then, the government had access to international funds and coordination and regional trade. Now, bank transfers are blocked, foreign aid is delayed, Western embassies operate at half capacity, and the UN warns of worsening hunger. The lights are dimming, slowly, quietly, but surely, And still, many citizens support Traoré. They see him as a rebel with a vision, a bold figure who finally said no to years of foreign dominance. They wave his portrait at rallies. They chant his name. They celebrate every ECOWAS snub as a symbol of strength. But here's the question. Will that pride feed their children? Will defiance rebuild roads? Will military charisma secure fuel and medicine? Even Traoré's strongest supporters must ask, what's the endgame? Now let's talk about the emotional layer. There are young people in Ouagadougou, Fada Dori, and Bobo Dioulasso who have never seen peaceful transitions of power. To them, every leader either comes in by force or leaves in exile. To them, the idea of a ballot box is distant, abstract, almost foreign. So, when the international media reduces the story to Traoré might be killed, it takes away from the deeper issue. This generation is learning that power is seized, not earned. Let's be honest, Traoré is in a dangerous position, but not because ECOWAS wants to kill him. He is in danger because the path he has chosen is narrow, steep, and lonely, and it will take more than military uniforms and fiery speeches to navigate what lies ahead. What the region needs now is not more rumors. It needs roadmaps, facts, dialogue, restraint, and imagination. If you believe that, comment Africa needs vision below. Now pause again. We're only halfway through. Still ahead, we'll explore how Burkina Faso's neighbors are reacting, what role outside powers like Russia and the US are playing, and why some believe the real threat to Traoré might come from within, not beyond the border. This is where it gets intense, because power once taken must be protected, and history shows us the greatest threats don't always come with warnings. As we move further, one question lingers in every quiet conversation in Ouagadougou. If something happens to Traoré, who will take his place? You see, in Africa's political history, it's not uncommon for leaders who come through force to be removed the same way. That's the dangerous cycle. Coup begets coup. Rebellion invites more rebellion. And when that cycle begins, there are no winners, only ashes. Right now, Ibrahim Traoré rules by influence and military loyalty. But loyalty is fragile. Soldiers can switch sides. Ministers can become enemies. And foreign partners can disappear overnight. This is why some analysts say the real danger to Traoré is not ECOWAS, not France, not even the United States. The real threat could be from inside his own ranks, a power struggle, a betrayal, an internal shift. It's happened before. It could happen again. Still, Traoré pushes forward. He speaks with confidence. His speeches are fiery. His message is simple. Burkina Faso must belong to Burkina, and that message resonates. People are tired of being told how to live, who to trade with, what loans to take. They want independence, real independence, not just in name, but in economy, in security, in future. But here's the hard truth. Independence comes with responsibility, and Traoré, whether people love or fear him, now carries that weight. He owns the results. Every military death, every missed salary, every bag of rice that costs more than last week, it all falls back to him. Now, let's zoom out again. Russia has become a louder player in the region. They offer arms, intelligence, private military support. But what they don't offer, at least not yet, is lasting peace. What they bring is leverage, strategic influence. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger are slowly becoming part of a geopolitical tug-of-war between East and West, the same struggle that shaped Africa's post-independence years. But this time, the battleground isn't ideology, it's security and survival. And here's where it gets deeper. Traoré and his alliance are not just fighting for military control, they're fighting for a new narrative, a story where Africans make African decisions, where old colonial borders no longer define destiny, where Western diplomacy no longer dictates the terms. That dream is powerful, but also dangerous, because to achieve it without systems, without allies, without structure, is to gamble with your people's future. Now let me pause and speak directly to the viewers. You are here because you want the full story. You don't settle for rumor. You're not moved by dramatic headlines unless they're backed with truth. If that's you, comment truth seekers only. Your voice matters. Your awareness matters. Because right now, we are watching a new chapter in Africa's history, being written not by politicians alone, but by people who choose clarity over confusion. Let's close with a final question. What will the next 3 months look like? Will Traoré give ECOWAS a plan for transition? Will the alliance of Sahel states push deeper into independence? Will Russia tighten its grip? Or will the pressure collapse, something we didn't expect? Because here's the chilling truth. If a leader like Traoré falls, not by ECOWAS, not by foreign fire, but by his own circle, it won't come with a headline. It won't be declared on a podium. It will happen in the shadows. That's why this moment is so fragile. It's not a war zone, but it's a spark waiting for fire. And in all of this, the people, the everyday people, just want peace, food, and freedom. They don't care about power blocks. They care about tomorrow. I leave you with this. Don't believe everything you see. Don't spread what hasn't been confirmed. Don't join the crowd chasing fear. Burkina Faso is not a rumor. It's a nation, a people, a future, and whether it stands or falls, that's not just about one man. It's about all of us. If you watch to the end, right, Africa deserves better. This is Pan African Storyteller, where we don't just report rumors. We explain the realities behind them. Stay with us. More truth is coming.